Hello and welcome back to Incremental Factory. We are going to work on a large nuclear power plant today, capable of producing roughly 1.5 million energy. So let's jump right into it. Let's grab the first parcel here. We're going to put in 18 reactor cores, 5 heat exchangers, and 3 turbines. That'll give us 26 building slots, which keeps 4 connections open. We need 4 connections because we need 2 inputs and 2 outputs. So that'll basically produce 85,000 energy per reactor, so times that by 18 is a little over 1.5 million. Let's deal with the used coolant first. That is the simpler part of it. We'll pull this off into a node, and then we will grab this and put this into a production parcel. And this production parcel will have a coolant recycler. This is going to produce, the reactor here is going to produce 10 used coolant. So we need to be able to process 10 used coolant. That is going to require 67 actually, coolant recyclers. So unfortunately we can only do 32 per parcel. So that is going to be 3 parcels of them. We're just going to max them out because it's just easier that way. So that is enough to handle the used coolant, and then these need to go into a node. And these will actually produce, this used coolant will come back over here, and then it'll go back into the system. Okay, so we will grab the used fuel. This is going to be quite a bit more complicated. It goes into a node, and then we will basically take it into a production parcel, and that will be producing fuel recycler. We have, let's see, we have 1.8 used fuel times 18, so that is going to be 32.4 used fuel coming out. So let's back up here a little bit. Let's delete this one here. This produces 32.4 fuel, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's going to need approximately 1,296 fuel recyclers to be able to process all of that. So we're going to divide this out into another node, and we'll actually divide this out into 5 nodes. Each one of these will need to contain roughly 260 fuel recyclers. Since we can only fit 32 per parcel, that is going to be 8.1 parcels, so we will need 9 parcels full of fuel recyclers for coolant per line. So that means we'll need 9 here times 5. These 9 fuel recyclers will go into a node, putting all the coolant into one node. This will basically create 1,040 coolant. So we're under the 1,250 cap. Okay, this looks a little nicer. What we'll do is we'll set up one line, and then if we like it, we'll copy it down 4 more times so that we have 5 setups of them. Coolant into another node. And then let's grab a production parcel. And this will be for the reactor fuel plant. This requires the refined thorium and coolant. We will actually need like 44 of these, so 22 each. We'll just max them out and see how that goes. So we need 2 of these. We are going to need some thorium for that. We will put one of these down here. This will be thorium miner. That gives us 158 per second, or per tick. We need 778, so that's roughly 5 of these. These will go into a node. Let's do the node first so that we don't have to drag the lines. There's 5 of those. Those will go into refined thorium. Let's grab another node. Into a production parcel. This will be refined thorium. We need 86 of this actually, so that'll be 3 of these. Grab this into a node. And then copy this up and down. Let's move this into place so that this looks nice. Let's move some stuff around here. Let's move this down. Move the thorium setup into place. Put that right there. We can drag this into a node here, combine it back together. This is the reactor fuel. Okay, that is the reactor fuel handled. We just need to jumpstart it with some coolant. But let's copy this down 5 times, or 4 times. So we have 5 setups of this coming down. They are all just putting their reactor fuel into the nodes. This makes a total of 216 reactor fuel. It just comes down here, comes back over to here, goes back up into here, and we will reconnect it into the reactor. So that is basically the fuel being recycled. So the only thing left to do right now is to load the system with coolant and see what we need to adjust. This is my small coolant plant. We just have some oil barrels being mined down here, sent to the petroleum, and then we can hook this up to the coolant plants here, and it makes petroleum into the coolant. And then we have coal being turned into coal combustor here into the graphene plant, as well as graphite being mined over here and being sent in. So we can just hook these two up to the coolant plants, and it basically fills up the storage here, and we have 1250 coolant being made here. So we can drag this over to here. We can probably just offload a whole load of one set of 1250 into the system for the engine coolant or for the heat exchanger. It only requires 400 coolant, but I don't think it'll hurt to have extra in the system. So let's put that into here. That'll transfer it into the system. So you can see it circulating through the system now. We have some numbers we have nothing being stored here, which means it's not backing up, which is good. We can come down here and see we need 400, we have 1,000 in the system, so it is working there. It's not backed up. It is flowing through the system correctly. Next up, we need to add the coolant to, we have this one over here. So we can actually inject this into the system right here. That is all of it. So let's bring the coolant plant back over here. Hook it up real quick to refill it. We can check on this. This should actually be operating now that we have some coolant in the system. You can see it's at only 4% efficiency because we don't have enough coolant in the system right now. And since the used fuel is divided between each 5 of these systems, we can actually just input the coolant into this one, I think. Yeah, it has no coolant. So we just need to do it 5 times till it is saturated with coolant. Grab that, stick it in the system. Bring it back over, refill it. Can check this, make sure it's going up. We're now at 10%. So give me a minute to fill the system and we will be back in a second. Alright, I've got these 2 coolant plants filled up. I've been doing 2 at a time. Move these over to here. We can check on our plant here. This is our reactor. We have 38% efficiency. We have 80 reactor fuel. We need 216. So let's dump these into the system. We can go back up here and check. Now about 110. We are up to 50%, so a couple more fills and we should be good to go. We just need to get this number above 216. So we need to put enough coolant in the system to get up to that number. Okay, this should be the last two to fill it. Nice feature I just discovered. If you select both parcels and you grab the product you want, it pulls it from both of them. Super nice. Insert that into the system. Let it drain out. That is all of it. Let's drag these out of the way. And let's check our reactor parcel. There you go. We are above the limit, well above the limit. We have 370 reactor fuel and we only need 216. So it is staying right above here. We only need 400 coolant and we are at 1,000. So it's going through it just as fast as it's reproducing it. We are at 100% efficiency here. We are creating 1.5 million power in this one parcel. So that is quite ridiculous. We have enough power now to meet our factory needs for the foreseen future. Take a quick look at the system again real quick. This is the reactor. We have 18 reactor cores, 5 heat exchangers, and 3 turbines. It takes the used coolant up to this system here. This used coolant goes into these 3 plants making coolant recyclers, which just takes used coolant and makes regular coolant. Those get all combined into a node and get sent right back into the system. The used fuel gets sent down here, gets divided between 5 different nodes. Each node is supplying 9 coolant recycling plants. Fuel recycling plants. Those fuel recycling plants are going to a reactor fuel plant, as well as some thorium being mined and then refined and put into the reactor fuel plants. Those are all combined. We have 5 sets of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That all creates the reactor fuel that comes back to the system and gets re-put into the reactors. So it's a self-contained system operating at 100% efficiency, 1.5 million power. And it's really not that big. I mean, it's quite sizable. You could actually shrink this down quite a bit. I have it spread out so it's laid out nicely, but that is my nuclear power setup for 1.5 million power. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.